Medical emergencies, racism, sexual harassment, oh my. America's Next Top Model just doesn't know when to stop shooting controversial photo shoots. Or do they? Keep watching to find out. One of the most memorable and controversial photo shoots featured on America's Next Top Model appeared in Cycle 4. Models were given a bizarre challenge by makeup artist Jay Manuel. They were told this photo shoot was all about taking on the persona of the other ethnicity in the photograph and owning it. After being given ethnicities to represent, like East Indian, and even races like African American, the models had their skin drastically darkened with makeup as they donned the outfits of those cultures. Even more shocking, the models in blackface were paired up with child models who were actually black.
I'm a black girl with a nose job, come on.
You're a Jackson.
Many viewers who didn't watch the show while it aired were floored when photos of this episode went viral on Twitter. Fans were outraged that putting white models in blackface was normalized by Banks. As controversy about this episode continued to spread, Banks took to Twitter and addressed it by writing, "Been seeing the posts about the insensitivity of some past ANTM moments, and I agree with you. Looking back, those were some really off choices. Appreciate your honest feedback, and I'm sending so much love and virtual hugs." Not one to ever shy away from uncomfortable topics, in Cycle 8, Tyra Banks had the girls take part in a photo shoot centered around political views. Each model was assigned a polarizing political view about topics like abortion, the death penalty, and veganism to represent. Models like Kathleen Dujour found the political angle of the shoot confusing and was unsure of how to properly represent it. During elimination, her confusion was used for cheap laughs, and the show portrayed her as a ditz. Contestant Natasha Gall was confused by the concept of pro-choice, the political view she'd been assigned. She also mentioned how she'd prefer not to be involved in political messages. Photographer Nigel Barker wasn't much help in directing her, just awkwardly telling her, "You're not getting rid of any baby, I hope." In an interview with British YouTuber Oliver Twix, Barker also revealed that sometimes the best photographs of the girls weren't chosen to air.
There would be times I would even look at them and I'd be like, whoa, wait a second, that's not the best picture that I picked.
This led fans to believe that the models were being purposely sabotaged simply for good television and cheap laughs. In Cycle 7, the models took a trip to Barcelona and were given a seemingly fun challenge that included filming a commercial in the language of Catalan. The models even got to pick a handsome male model to kiss in the commercial. However, the fun wore off when contestant Jada Young England selected a model who later told her that he didn't like black girls. Startled by his racist comment, she then voiced her concern to Banks, who told her,
"Well, you're gonna have to give him a kiss to make him love some black girls."
During the commercial shoot, Young England found it hard to not only work with a racist model, but have to kiss him as well. As she began to cry, Jay Manuel told her, "You can't cry because we don't have time to fix your makeup." After pulling herself together and kissing him, the judges later told her that she acted unprofessionally during the shoot, and that her issue should have never stopped her from completing the job. In a 2020 interview with Variety, Manuel responded to the recent backlash of the show and mentioned being uncomfortable with certain aspects of it, saying, "Many times when you're working in an environment like that, you have to listen to your executive producers, and ultimately the two voices at the top were Ken Mock and Tyra Banks. There were sometimes several objections by other producers and myself about layers that were added to creative, and we were just told to execute." In Cycle 8, there was one photo shoot that was just too soon for one contestant. The models were asked to participate in a crime-themed photo shoot that made each model a victim of a gruesome, bloody crime. They were given each a different cause of death and had to bring to life the dead pose. This set design was just too triggering for contestant Jill Strauss, as the photo shoot occurred just a week after she found out that a close friend of hers had died of an overdose. Strauss found it triggering to pose as a corpse and mentioned that her friend's death was weighing heavy on her mind that day. Looking back, many viewers found it insensitive that Strauss was forced to participate in a photo shoot while she was grieving. Fans admired her strength for continuing and were heartbroken when she passed away in 2018, shortly after being diagnosed with breast cancer. In Cycle 4, the models participated in a photo shoot at a graveyard with the theme of deadly sins. As the models pulled up to the shoot, contestant Kaylin Rondo was immediately overcome with emotions and began to sob uncontrollably. It was just one day after she found out her best friend had died in a car accident. She even told the cameras that she didn't want to be there and was thinking about quitting the show. As if things couldn't get worse for her, Rondo then had to pose in an 8-foot grave. Fearing going home, she continued with the shoot and tried her hardest to get the best shot possible. The judges loved her photos and complimented her strength in pushing through. Viewers are still unsure if this photo shoot was planned with knowledge of her friend passing away or if it was just an unfortunate coincidence. Watching her heartbreaking reaction to the graveyard still upset the audience. Some viewers even consider it a moment where producers cross boundaries. In cycle 7, after getting their hair and makeup done, the girls were asked to participate in a nude photo shoot. A few contestants immediately felt uncomfortable with the theme of the shoot. One contestant, Becky, immediately broke down in tears just thinking about the backlash from her small town. And contestant Ginger Wells, who was a self-proclaimed conservative, voiced her objections as well. When she mentioned not wanting to do the shoot, she was immediately told by J. Manuel that it was going to affect her place in the competition. Even the photographer asked her multiple times to rethink the decision and offered compromises to get her to go through with the shoot. After getting help from the other models, she agreed to pose for only 2 nude photos before walking off the set. She said,
"When it comes down to it, it's not important to me just to win something. I'm gonna stick to my morals and standards no matter what."
Other models even made snide comments about her not fully participating in the shoot. During elimination, J. Manuel described her as someone not willing to fully cooperate because of her objections to nudity, before deciding to eliminate her. In cycle 15, the models were instructed to co-star in a commercial with a male model and kiss them. Upon hearing the theme of the shoot, contestant Kayla felt extremely uncomfortable and didn't want to participate. She disclosed to J. Manuel that she had been sexually assaulted as a child and did not feel comfortable getting so intimate with a male model. She tearfully told him,
This whole challenge freaks me out. I don't want to kiss them. I don't want to interact with them.
The theme of the shoot was a trigger for her, and she explained that it was a secret she'd been holding her whole life. After mentioning that she would walk away from a gig if it required her to kiss a male, Manuel told her she needed to deal with this and properly heal. After being told to push away those painful memories, she still went through with the commercial, even though she was visibly uncomfortable. In cycle 7, the models were pushed to the limit in a photo shoot that was completely unnecessary and dangerous. In a shoot directed by Tyra Banks, the models were placed in a freezing pool while they attempted to pose. In the episode, viewers could see the models shake from the freezing temperature and frequently complain about it. The photographer and Banks dismissed the claims by telling them cold is in your mind, and this is real modeling. After countless shots, one model, Carrie D. English, finally asked to leave the pool as she began to convulse. She was immediately told that it was her fault for not speaking up earlier about being in pain. Other contestants accused her of being dramatic and needing attention. This episode is just another example of the contestants being pushed to their limit and then being chastised for not being able to handle it. One common theme of America's Next Top Model are photo shoots that up the ante with bizarre accessories. Whether it consists of hanging from the ceiling or posing with a tarantula, the models are always expected to put their fears to the side for the perfect shot. In cycle 6, the models were paired up with an elephant in the jungle for a shoot centered around smooth, shaved legs. As the shoot unfolded, the elephant was not a happy co-star. Each time the camera would flash, viewers could see it get startled and start to move frantically. Models were simply told to hold on tight and do their best to pose during the animal's distress. One contestant, Danielle, was just as miserable as the elephant. She had just been released from the hospital for dehydration and severe exhaustion, but was forced to power through the shoot. During the elimination, the panel made light of her struggles.
IV, oxygen, and no dehydration, exhaustion, and a little bit of food poisoning.
Danielle, you're kind of high maintenance, aren't you?
Though her resulting photos were good and she later won the season, the judges used this moment to highlight the power of posing through the pain and uncomfortable situations. One of the most uncomfortable moments in America's Next Top Model was the treatment of Kenya Hill in cycle 4. During a photo shoot in the jungle, Hill stopped and addressed a male model who kept touching her inappropriately and moaning in her ear. She voiced her concern to the crew in hopes that someone would step up and establish boundaries, but instead was met with annoyance. J. Manuel told her that she was being unprofessional and to carry on with the shoot. When she spoke with the other models, she wasn't met with much support either.
It's not fair for Kenya to blame someone outside of herself for her shoot going wrong.
After the shoot, the male models were invited back to have dinner with them. Hill confronted him about his behavior, and once again, she was shot down and accused of being dramatic. On screen, there was no support for a woman who had just experienced harassment in the workplace. During the elimination, Tyra Banks offered minimal support as well, and simply told her it was her job to control the situation without disrupting the shoot. Cycle 22 was the final season of America's Next Top Model. It was groundbreaking for multiple reasons. It not only featured its first ever deaf contestant, but he also went on to win the season. Niall DeMarco won the hearts of viewers with his positive attitude, swoon-worthy looks, and candidness. However, just because they included him on the show didn't mean they were completely accommodating to him. In one controversial photo shoot during the season, DeMarco was expected to model and take directions on a completely dark set. Without being able to hear the photographer's directions, he was left disoriented and confused by the signals they used with flashing lights. With no interpreter by his side, he stumbled through the shoot, missed the cues, and had lackluster photos. To make matters worse, as he tried to explain the issue of attempting to work on a pitch-black set, Judge Kelly Catrone cut him off as if he was giving meaningless excuses.
Do you think that's your best shot?
No, I don't think it's my best shot.
Okay,
I
great.
think that...
No, that was the
all I-
question. That was the question. Thank you.
In an interview with Variety in 2020, DeMarco discussed the need to represent members of the deaf community accurately. During my experiences on America's Next Top Model and also Dancing with the Stars, I always felt branded as sort of one-dimensional. I was just the deaf person. There was no real deep dive into who I am, what I liked, what I do every day, and things like that. If you or someone you know has been the victim of sexual assault, you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4673, or visit rain.org for additional resources.